Hello and a very warm welcome. This is the news at NTA International. My name is Justin Bemuyi, and here are the top stories. As schools resume in parts of the country, Federal Ministry of Education says no COVID-19 test required. ECOWAS seeks collective regional front for COVID-19 vaccination in member states. Plus, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency rolls out new template to combat drug abuse in Nigeria. Well, thank you so much for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally conveyed to the Honorable Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, SAN, his approval of the nomination of Malam Abubakar Nuhu Fikbo as the Acting Director General of the National Directorate of Employment, pending the appointment of a substantive Director General for the agency. Last month, the President relieved the former DG of the agency of his appointment and directed the minister to nominate an acting DG to superintend over the agency pending the appointment of a substantive DG. Now, developing the digital skills of the Nigerian youth in driving businesses for a prosperous nation has been described as a critical component of Nigeria's new economic policy under the present administration. This is the focus of a two-day digital economic summit which opens in Jigawa State. Mohammed Musa Askira reports that the NTA's Executive Director News, Mohammed Labo, represented the Director General of the summit.
With the theme, Creating a Viable Innovative Ecosystem for Economic Development, the event seeks to identify Jigawa young talents in digital innovations with critical thinking who will be trained on digital problem solving to improve the local economy. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, who addressed the summit virtually, the Director General, National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Ino Abdullahi, and Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar of Jigawa State spoke extensively on the need to deploy digital technology in the practice of agriculture to facilitate the realization of the nation's quest for independent economy through agriculture.
Agri is one of the most important areas where digital innovation brought about significant changes and revolutions.
Under the leadership of our governor, we are bringing all key stakeholders together to develop innovation strategy for our states. So this is the ecosystem we are talking about.
How best we can improve in what we are doing. How best we can create jobs around the value chains of those agricultural communities that we have competitive advantage of producing, at least in Nigeria, and also try to find out how best we can compete globally.
Chairman Senate Committee on Youth and Sports, Senator Joseph Obinna Oba, and the DGNTS representative Mohammed Labo were among the 6 panelists who observed that human capital development is key in the realization of the country's economic potentials.
Developing human capital is very, very, very crucial to the overall development of the country.
I think that this is one of the programs Mr. President has done that all Nigerians should key into.
The Digital Summit, organized by the Youth Coalition for Development in collaboration with NIDA and the Jigawa State Government, among other private digital organizations, stakeholders say will go a long way in motivating the young generation to explore opportunities in the areas the state has competitive business advantage, especially in the agricultural sector. To further affirm the government interest in the agricultural sector, a second round of 140 digital farmers will be trained by the National Adapted Village for Smart Agriculture, a program designed by the NIDA to revolutionize agriculture in the state. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Education says no COVID-19 test is required for returning students to be admitted into their schools. A statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Federal Ministry of Education, Ben Bem Gong, says only temperature checks should be carried out on students and any other person crossing any school gate. School authorities should therefore refrain from asking students or parents to undergo COVID-19 tests before they are accepted reported back to their schools. In the meantime, under the COVID-19 guidelines, schools at the primary and secondary level in the FCT have opened their gates for students to resume for the second term 2021 to 2022 academic session. Hadiza Godwin visited some schools in the FCT to ascertain the level of COVID-19 protocols compliance.
Under strict COVID-19 protocols, schools in the FCT resumed for a new academic session. Both teachers, students and parents were checked before gaining entrance into the school premises. NTA crew were not spared in these routine checks in all schools visited.
We are briefing the teachers. Social distance is being observed, and you see our children with face masks.
There's a teacher at all points when they are coming to make the work easier for them.
They put their face masks, they're compulsory, they must. So everything for the COVID-19 or NCDC protocol is being observed in this school.
To ensure compliance to COVID-19 protocols, safeguard students and enhance learning in a safe environment, schools have made provisions for more classrooms to ensure social distancing among students.
I believe we actually can observe all safety measures and keep ourselves safe and at the same time learn. There are hand washing equipment at very strategic places in the school.
It is something that has just come into place, so we have to adopt, we have to adjust to it, because we have to take necessary care so that we will not be involved in any harm that will come to us.
We will separate our social distancing because of the COVID-19.
When we enter, they check our body temperature, then we wash our hands and sanitize it.
Authorities say everyone will be carried along to ensure a coronavirus-free learning environment. Hadiza Godwin Ebuni, NTA News.
Now joining us is the Executive Chairman of the FCT Secondary Education Board, Yahaya Musa Mohammed, to shed more light on the school resumption today. Mr. Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure being with you. Good evening, and we give thanks to God that once again we have resumed for the second term academic session.
Yeah, we are welcome. Now, schools have finally resumed today in some states in Nigeria, including the FCT. What did you see today across the FCT?
Well, this morning I personally visited some of the schools, and the situation in virtually all our schools is very, very impressive because of the religious compliance to the COVID-19 protocols, and the systems put in place to checkmate what is happening in our respective schools. Everybody is working around the clock to ensure that no stone is left unturned in terms of ensuring that the protocols are complied with. This morning I was in Model Secondary School, Metema. Ran into the monitoring and evaluation team also, who came in to inspect what is actually happening in the school. So the system put in place, everybody is actually working in ensuring that no student, no staff, or any of the academic staff of the school renege on the agreements with regards to the compliance to COVID-19 protocols.
Well, following what you just said, many parents still have reservations about the whole situation. What does the board and the authorities put on ground to allay those concerns?
Well, in any development, you have those who are very pessimistic about any development. You have those who actually will think otherwise. They're entitled to their opinion. But generally speaking, every parent must comply with the guidelines being put up by the regulatory agencies, without which no such student will be allowed into any of our school premises. But so far, so good. I think the parents are cooperating. Most parents also have assisted the students in terms of complementing what we give to them, like the non-pharmaceutical materials. So I don't think there's any parent who actually will want to flout the order being given to students in order to ensure the safety of the students to get into the school and engage themselves in teaching learning enterprise.
Okay, just before I let you go, in terms of sustainability of the compliance to COVID-19 safety protocols in schools, what do we expect?
The COVID-19 actually has put our resilience as a people to test. It is opening up new window of opportunities for us to teach these students the more. It will interest you to note that in most of our schools today, our students can produce hand sanitizers. Some of our schools that are technically inclined could also produce hand washing stations. So we are actually learning from this development to get the students, inclined towards measures that actually can save their lives, and not just looking at the pandemic as something that is totally negative in nature, but also to learn lessons and be part and parcel of getting solutions to this pandemic that is ravaging the world.
Well, thank you so much for your time with us on the news. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, moving on, that was Yahya Musa Muhammad, the Executive Chairman of the FCT Secondary Education Board. Now, in the year 2020, under review, the entire world underwent a transformation. The planet was consumed by a pandemic that altered life. The coronavirus, popularly known as COVID-19, which impacted nearly every aspect of the global economy. Ifeanyi Zumba in this special report reviews some of the activities of the FCT Minister of State, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, in 2020.
The early months of 2020 started with signs of coronavirus. As such, the FCT Minister of State, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, flagged off awareness campaign as part of proactive measures to avert possible outbreak of the virus in the nation's capital. The awareness campaign was geared towards ensuring that residents, especially mothers, take up responsibilities in preventing Lassa fever and coronavirus disease outbreak.
The Lassa fever virus is transmitted to man by infected rats. Humans become infected from direct contact with the urine and feces of the rat, which contains the virus.
In the year under review, which was characterized by lockdown as a result of the outbreak of the pandemic, was followed by distribution of food items to residents of the FCT. The Minister of State, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, who was also the chairperson of the FCT palliative distribution, played a commendable role in terms of distributing palliatives to the people to the extent she was called Mama Palliative.
FCT is not joking, we're on top of our game, and eventually in the Federal Capital Territory, we will only phone the people that are eligible.
Also in the year under review, FCT Minister of State inaugurated a 44-member implementation committee to drive the process for the establishment of special agro-industrial processing zone and the National Livestock Transformation Program to be funded by the African Development Bank. The minister used the inauguration ceremony to explain that the project was geared towards achieving Mr. President's agenda of lifting 100 million youths out of poverty.
As our administration remain focused in coursework of its set objectives. Credit must, however, go to our dear President Muhammadu Buhari for his foresight in giving the administration backing towards strengthening local capacities in food production.
In the last quarter of 2020, FCT Minister of State called on Nigerian youths to leverage on the federal government's social investment scheme available to youths to enhance job creation. The Minister of State made this call on the occasion of the maiden edition of the Nigerian National Youth Day celebration.
Let the listening youth begin to catch on opportunities. I stand before you here to tell you that FCT has also created a desk across the 6 area councils in the secretariats to take data of youths.
FCT Minister of State inaugurated FCT UBEP Center for Science, Technology and Innovative Training for Capacity Building and Teaching in the field of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. While inaugurating the project at the junior secondary school, Hajj Kam Gwagwalada, the FCT Minister of State noted that the project would help the territory to catch up with global trends. In Abuja, Ifani Izumba, NTA News.
Now this is the news on NTA International reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more.
Hey, welcome back. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 PTF says although schools resumed today in the FCT and some states, it is still subject to review. This was part of the main issues put forward during the task force briefing in Abuja. The PTF also said any vaccine will be subjected to thorough certification before it can be administered in the country.
The resumption of schools nationwide, that would be reviewed due to the rising daily numbers of infections. And
there is no question that we are deeply into the second wave of the pandemic, which requires that the PTF and Federal Ministry of Health will review strategies to respond to the challenge and take additional necessary measures to check this case deluge that can threaten our health system's capacity to cope.
Now, the African Union Commission has honored 9 African leaders, including President Muhammadu Buhari, for their leadership in actualizing the African Continental Free Trade Area. Others recognize Felix Tshisekedi, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egyptian President Ahmed Fattah al-Sisi, Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana. Also honored Alpha Conde, President of Guinea, Muhammadu Issoufou, President of Niger, Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda, and Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, Chairperson of the African Union. 2 former heads of state, Haile Mariam Desalegn Boshe, former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and Olusegun Obasanjo, former President of Nigeria, were also honored. The award was staged by the African Union Commission in collaboration with the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In the meantime, ECOWAS is confronting a regional strategy to acquire COVID-19 vaccines for the region. This, the president of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassi-Bro, considers as a more beneficial and economic approach to get citizens of the community vaccinated. Onenge Fineface reports.
There is a global scramble for vaccines against the ravaging coronavirus pandemic. The United States, China, and some countries in Europe have already begun vaccination of their citizens, and African countries are in a hurry to get doses as well. In a presentation to plenary at the ongoing ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassi-Bro, says a united front to get the vaccine is the best option for the region.
Is to see how we come together and collectively work to address the issue of the vaccine. Because if we do it collectively, we can have better price. Because they'll be buying instead of for each member country trying to buy for a population of 8, 5, 10, 15, 20 million, we buy together for over 300 million, population size of 300 million.
Members of Parliament want improved funding for the West Africa Health Organization to effectively execute the task of regional vaccination against COVID-19.
You cannot have investments. You cannot take care of education and agriculture, food security, if we do not prioritize expenditure on health.
Even if, for example, Nigeria vaccinates its people, if in Guinea or Ghana or Burkina Faso, they have not actually vaccinated their people. We are still the same.
And I'm thinking of malaria. What measures are now being taken to do something about malaria?
ECOWAS Commission also presented the region's monitoring and evaluation policy to Parliament at plenary. Onengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has announced 1,444 new cases of COVID-19 in 21 states, including the FCT, as of 17th January 2021. The 1,444 new cases brings the total number of confirmed cases to 110,387. Discharged cases are 89,317, with 1,435 deaths. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is deploying sophisticated measures towards tackling the wave of drug abuse and trafficking in the country. Brigadier General Buba Marwa made the commitment during his maiden press briefing as the new chairman of the agency. Abdul Malik Hassan reports.
Illicit drug abuse and trafficking has negative impact on the society. Experts say it has link with moral degeneration of youth and adverse consequences on the economy. In 2018, statistics shows that 14.3 million Nigerians between the ages of 15 to 64 involved in different levels of illicit drugs. This, the new chairman promised to tackle with strategic roadmap to be developed from 2021 to 2025, aimed at eliminating the menace of illicit substances.
I would like to today want those who engage in the dastardly trade of importation, export, cultivation, processing, manufacture, trafficking, sale, and consumption of illicit substances to stop forthwith.
The new NDLEA started with a successful interception of 21.9 kilograms of cocaine at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, conveyed through the Ethiopian airline. For now, manhunt has been launched on the peddler. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Relatively, the effort towards ensuring a drug-free society has continued to take several dimensions. Experts are, however, worried that the outcome is not commensurate to the input. Loretta Arinze Egwim in this report sought to find out why, and efforts of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies turning the tide in Imo State.
The attendant consequences of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking on the society cannot be overemphasized. Many, particularly youths, have lost their means of livelihood to drug abuse. The impact on the economy is not left out, as huge resources are committed to the fight against the criminal act. Describing the situation as worrisome, the State Commander, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Imo State Command, Nsejak, says the year 2020 witnessed increase in arrests, as 190 suspects were arrested, while 34 were successfully prosecuted.
The drug abuse situation in Imo State in 2020 was alarming. Honestly speaking, even despite the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019, it's as if the pandemic gave a lot of people the reason to start abusing drugs, having been restricted to their various homes and communities, no movement.
While noting the efforts of the federal and state government in supporting the fight against drug abuse, he says a lot still needs to be done, especially in the area of awareness, funding, and manpower. He assures that officers and men of the Imo State Command have positioned themselves to achieve greater results in the new year and warns perpetrators to desist from drug peddling. While some of the suspects arrested have been cancelled and released, others brought by their relatives are undergoing rehabilitation. In Owerri, Loretta Arinze Egwim, NTA News.
Up next, a sports update with Tamara Ibiwi.
Welcome to Sports Update. I am Tamara Ibiwi.
Athletes to the 4th One Service One Medal Awesome Games have commenced training ahead of the opening ceremony slated for Wednesday, January 20, 2021. The Games, which will feature 15 events, is aimed at fostering peace, unity and sports development among members of the armed forces and paramilitary organizations in the country.
All the forces, military and paramilitary, are domiciled in Abuja, and it makes it much easier for them to attend the program. And with the availability of all these facilities, they can train well, do their rehearsals well before the main day.
To combat sports now, with the maiden Baraza Champion of Champions Wrestling Tournament in Yenegua, Bayelsa State winding down, world number 2 and 10-time African champion in the 68 kg class, Blessing Oburududu, Aminat Adeniyi, Ekerekeme Agiomo and Soso Tamarau all won gold medals in their various weight categories in the freestyle event on day 2. On day 1, world number 1 in the 57 kg class, Uduanyo Adekoroye, Nigeria's medal hopeful to the Tokyo Olympics, also won gold alongside Wilson Ebike Wenimo and John Ogbonna. It is the first wrestling championship in nearly 1 year. Staying with combat sports, Nigeria's mixed martial arts fighter Lovett Young is relishing her victory over United States' Kelly D'Angelo in Legacy Fight Alliance LFA 97. The young Nigerian Terminator beat D'Angelo by technical knockout in round 2 of her 5th professional fight in the strawweight division to improve her record to 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. And that's it on Sports Updates. I am Tamara Ebiwe. Many thanks for watching.
And that's the news on NTA International. Remember to always connect with NTA to stand against rape and the rapist to be a star. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Justin Bemui, and with me has been the sign language interpreter, Grace Ilori.